because really what it means is one 250 milligram capsule is equivalent to about, of the micelle version, is equivalent to about 2,500 milligrams of just regular quercetin. It's also really lovely to know that, for people who are utilizing quercetin specifically for seasonal support, sometimes they have to take it multiple times a day because the body goes through it really quickly. But in this form, because you're getting such a high concentration, and actually the blood serum content stays for a full day. So, one a day is going to be really, really useful and beneficial.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Healthy Habit Podcast. Got a good friend of mine on today, Miss Carrie G. Pattison, practicing herbalist, licensed acupuncturist, and trained home birth midwife. Carrie's a graduate of the National University of Natural Medicine. She serves as national educator for natural factors and adjunct professor of herbal studies at Huntington University of Health Sciences. Carrie's originally from rural Alaska, and her love for travel and social justice issues in the developing world led her to undergraduate degrees focused on global development and relief, and fuels her lifelong passion for health and learning. And today's a part 1 discussion with Carrie here for episode number 18. You'll also see her in episode number 19 for part 2 of today's discussion. We're talking seasonal superheroes, aka allergies, allergy health. Carrie, welcome back.
Hi, thanks so much for having me. Always glad to be here. And this is a topic I really enjoy talking about.
Well, let's dive into it. We have a couple products on the schedule today, like Quercetin LipoMicel Matrix, which I gave a lot since the beginning of 2020, if you know what I mean, what that was for. Anti-V, lung, bronchial, and sinus health. So tell us about it. Why do you love allergy health so much, and what can we do about this?
I think I love allergies because my background being development and relief work, and you'd be like, where's the connection there? But allergies are fascinating, what's happening in the body, right? There's many different types of allergies, but essentially it's an exaggerated immune response to a normally harmless substance like pollen or pet dander. So the connection back to my international world is that allergies don't really exist in a lot of these developing countries. They are starting to exist now, but I would go and I'd spend time in these places and I'd be like, you guys don't have spring fever issues? Like, what's happening? Food allergies, environmental allergies just didn't exist. And so it was really fascinating for me to dive into what is happening in the body and why.
Amazing. So a product like quercetin, how could this help us out? Like, what is quercetin exactly? I know it's found in garlic and onions, and a lot of people used it for viral infections, but tell us your thoughts on quercetin. How does this play a role?
Well, quercetin is an amazing compound that holds a lot of benefits for our body, and it does come in a lot of foods. Actually, some of my favorites, like you mentioned, garlic and onions. One of the most highly concentrated we can get is actually capers, and it also can be found in red wine and chocolate. So it's really highly concentrated in the Mediterranean diet. So when we talk about cardiovascular health and the Mediterranean diet, there is kind of some research nowadays thinking, maybe it's actually the high amount of quercetin that's in this diet that is doing it, because it's so supportive for cardiovascular health. But it's this flavonoid that we know is a powerful antioxidant. And when it comes to allergies or seasonal support, what it really does is we have research showing that it prevents the release of histamine. And then it decreases some things called pro-inflammatory cytokines. And cytokines is a fancy word for the way that our cells communicate with each other. And it also suppresses some of our basic immune responses, like our Th2 response, which is a response that happens when we're getting sick, the allergy thing of the watery eyes and the runny nose and things like this, where we just have this reaction happen. So, quercetin is one of those things that we know kind of tampers down what it does. So when I was talking about these responses, I think it's really fascinating because we have Th1 and Th2, right? Th1 is like attacking a virus. but Th2 would be more like an allergy immune response. And balancing those things out is really cool. That's something that quercetin can do. They're actually researching it for new allergy medications right now, like pharmaceutical medications. That's how much they know it's able to support. It's specifically one of the main things that it does for allergies is it helps to restrain or prevent IgE creation, which is the main antibody associated with an allergic response. So people who have horrific allergies, lifelong allergies, right? You know, they go to the doctor and they're just full of IgE, and that's an antibody we don't want to have in our body because it causes all these symptoms.
Interesting. By the way, it looks like you're off the grid back there, Carrie. I'm jealous. I want to be in a forest
I
like
know,
that.
I am. There's the water. I'm up
Oh
on
my
the
God.
Olympic Peninsula right now. Every once in a while, I
Wow.
run away from the world.
That's
This
beautiful.
weekend, no, and it's just amazing to think about in our society today. None of us do this anymore. We can't, we don't have time, but I had an
Right.
entire day, no screens at all, no phone, no computer. All I did was read Harry Potter. It was
That
awesome.
is so nice. That's so
I feel
nice.
good.
So you were mentioning earlier, we know what's happening, but we don't know why. Can you elaborate a
Mhm.
bit more on this?
Yeah, so I think we should run down what is happening in an allergic response. Um, so what happens is the first time an allergy prone person runs into an allergen, say ragweed, let's just say ragweed, right? What's going to happen is our body's going to see it and go, oh, this is something that's not supposed to be in here, like a virus or bacteria. So we need to make an antibody for it. We need to recognize it and try and kill it. So you're going to make a ton of these IgE antibodies, which are the ones that are specific for allergies for ragweed. And these IgE molecules then attach themselves to a cell called mast cells,
Hmm.
which are a huge part of the concern and the issues with allergies. So the next time the person sees ragweed, they breathe in a little bit of ragweed. All those IgE antibodies, they're ready. They're primed. They're like, I'm waiting for you to show up. They release granules and different chemical mediators, which are the way cells communicate, like histamine.
Hmm.
And so histamine is one of the ways our immune system communicates with each other. And then it causes our mast cells to degranulate. And when this degranulation happens, that's when we see the negative effects of an allergic response. So we know this is what's happening, but we don't know why. And that's where I get excited talking about IgE, because IgE as an antibody historically is the antibody associated with parasites. So that's where this connection to being in the international development world is a lot of these places don't have allergies, but they've
Right.
got rampant parasites. So they probably have a lot of IgE in their body, but the idea behind IgE is that, you know, if you consider like a virus or a bacteria the size of it compared to the size of a parasite, it's a lot bigger, right? So IgE, what it does is it takes these mast cells, and its actually job is to attack the parasite and break it up into smaller pieces
Hmm.
that then the body can take care of. It can't take care of this large chunk, but it can take care of smaller chunks. So that's what histamine is. Histamine is a toxin that is meant to break down parasites into smaller chunks. But if we don't have parasites in our body, we don't have these things that it's trying to break down, it's recognizing ragweed, then what happens is that toxin's just running around our body attacking our tissue.
Hmm.
So that's where the symptomology comes. So it's really kind of interesting to think about. There is like a new kind of frontier of allergy discussion around, should we give somebody who has really, really horrific allergies a parasite? I would not recommend that. But, you know, the concept is there, right? So this is where I say, like, we know what's happening, but we don't know why. We
Right.
don't know why this historic thing for parasites now is thinking about peanuts and ragweed.
So how does somebody know if they have a parasitic infection? What are some things to look out for? Obviously, it's different for everybody. There's an
It
umbrella of
is.
symptoms here, but what
It
are some
depends
heavy
upon the
hitters?
parasite, actually.
What's that?
It depends upon the
Okay.
parasite. we can have parasites in our liver. We probably all have parasites in our liver, honestly. Just, it's a normal thing of being a human. And so, we can look at liver congestion, challenges like that. But specifically if we have digestive parasites, one of the main things, honestly, this is not pleasant to mention, but itchy bottom.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
kids that get hookworm and things like that, they're going to just run around scratching their bottom, like, dogs scratching on the carpet kind of a thing. So itchy bottoms are a really great one. Some people just can see them when they go to the bathroom.
Wow.
But I always think about any sort of like weight gain or weight loss that is maybe associated with constant hunger would be another thing to be concerned about. But there's a lot of different
Right.
types of parasites out there that we can have. So
It can affect all organ systems, right?
absolutely. Yeah, brain. There's like the creepy ones that get in the eye.
Hmm.
Ugh.
We don't want those.
No.
So, okay, so then the quercetin lipomicel matrix. I want to dive
Mhm.
deeper into this product. How is it different from a typical quercetin product on the shelves? How should one take it? And number one, and most importantly, how does somebody know that they're a candidate potentially for taking this product?
Right. So I mentioned the significant cardiovascular benefits of
Right.
quercetin. And so that's where I think, even if you're not needing quercetin to support, for seasonal support, then I think all of us should be taking quercetin every single day for those cardiovascular benefits. For me, this is just one of our daily dues. Um, it's lovely because we get all these other side benefits as well, right? So we talked about quercetin being a flavonoid, or I mentioned that. So what's interesting about this specific flavonoid is most flavonoids are water soluble. So we can ingest them, our body uses them, processes them really easily. Quercetin's unique in that it's a fat soluble flavonoid. So what that means is when the body ingests it, it actually has to go into a process of breaking it down and repackaging it in a form that the body can then absorb and utilize. And this form is specifically called a micelle. And as the body breaks it down and repackages it, it's in this form, this micelle, that actually is able to immediately go through the barrier in our gut and into our bloodstream. So, what we talk about is the vast majority of people, our digestive systems aren't functioning nowadays, or there's something off in our body. We can't go through these processes. We're looking more and more into research about genetic things that are happening that prevent people from breaking down certain nutrients and transferring them into the usable form in the body. So that's where the quercetin lipomicel matrix comes into play. Essentially, what we've done is we've taken this compound that the body has to change into a micelle, and we've just put it into a micelle form immediately. So it's instantaneously absorbed and available for the body. In fact, we did some blood serum tests on it, and we're talking, 10, 15 minutes, you're going to see the compound in your bloodstream. That's how fast you're going to get it in there. So I think about people who are having immediate reactions to a ragweed or something like that. This is really, really lovely to grab and utilize. So it can be very, very supportive in those times. But what we want to do is help the body out. Body's got a lot going on, especially in our day and age. So the easier version we can give it is wonderful. And so you're going to see on the front where it says 10 times. And it's kind of an interesting way of putting it, because really what it means is 250 milligram capsule is equivalent to about, of the micelle version, is equivalent to about 2,500 milligrams of just regular quercetin.
Can you repeat that?
One 250 milligram capsule is equivalent to about 2,500 milligrams of just regular quercetin, kind of free-form quercetin. So that's where it's also really lovely to know that, for people who are utilizing quercetin specifically for seasonal support, sometimes they have to take it multiple times a day because the body goes through it really quickly.
Right.
But in this form, because you're getting such a high concentration, it actually, the blood serum content stays for a full day. So, one a day is going to be really, really useful and beneficial. And that's why I say, it's a great addition just to your everyday routine for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're, not a fan of ragweed or bread or peanuts or whatever. This is a really great thing to just have in your kit.
Folks, if you're in Healthy Habit Health Foods from Tuesday through Saturday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., 6 p.m. on Fridays and Saturdays, Mr. Stan, the demo man's in house. Okay, and for Natural Factors, he has deep discounts. That's directly from his words. I have deep discounts, folks, on their wonderful product line. He also has coupons and literature, all things Natural Factors. Come talk to Stan, the demo man, and ask him
And
about the Quercetin LipoMicel Matrix. Again, 10x higher absorption. Can we call this liposomal quercetin?
no,
No,
it's
okay.
actually different than
Differentiate that,
liposomal.
please.
Yeah. So a liposome is a way that we have created a kind of intermediary compound. So liposomes are man-made. And what it's done is it's kind of removed a couple of steps of that process of the body taking a nutrient and then repackaging it into a micelle. So it does help with absorption. It makes things easier to absorb in the body, but the body still has to break it down and do a little bit of work. So we've just gone from that straight to the micelle. So it's unique technology to Natural Factors. And that's one of the things I love about the fact that we are family owned, that we manufacture everything ourselves, right? We can see, oh, there's an issue here, and we can literally create the technology. And there's more and more products coming out that we are utilizing this technology with. So it's really exciting, actually.
Amazing. And so would this combine well with one of my favorite products? I like this one, the anti-V formula.
Yes, I think this would be a really great product. And it's funny because we talk about anti-V for the immune system, and I think a lot of people would be like, why in the world are you talking about this
Right.
like within the context of allergies? Well, it's about the compounds that are in there. It's about the plants that are in there, because we've talked about this before. Plants don't do just one thing, right? They have multiple personalities. And one of my favorite plants of all time is echinacea. And that's our fresh echinacea grown on our farms. It's been hand harvested. It goes into production within an hour or two. It's as fresh and pure as you could possibly get it. Well, what we know is that research has shown that echinacea can help prevent that mast cell degranulation, can prevent those cells from releasing the toxins like histamine. So, and this is both before and after IgE stimulation. And what I want to say, that's really, really cool statement. So breaking that down, what that means is it's preventing our mast cells from shooting out histamine, whether or not there's an allergen in our body. Like, so before it's seen an allergen or after it's seen an allergen, it's working to just say, don't do this. Don't be that person.
Right.
And it's the alkalamides in there that seem to be doing this. And our echinacea and our anti-V is actually specifically standardized for the alkalamides. So, we also know that there's some research into echinacea helping to restore the epidermal lipid barrier. So we're talking, my favorite thing about anti-V is bug bites.
Okay.
So I put it
Mosquitoes.
on mosquito bites. I put it on spider bites. I love it. I've actually have people that have, skin conditions that are itchy and they don't know what's going on. And I'll have them squeeze the soft gel because it's got some beeswax in there too, which is really lovely for the skin. I'll have them put it on there, and oh man, it's great. I love it. So the other thing that echinacea could do, and this is why I love the anti-V, is it can actually, there's some research into, and this is also for the Theracurmin as well, which I know we might talk about this time or next time, helps with class switching. And so this is another aspect of those antibodies. So we've been talking about IgE, immunoglobulin E, as this antibody that's about parasites and allergies. But It's actually one of 5 different antibodies that we have in our body that we know of. And the antibody that we want to have is IgM. This is the antibody that's associated for immune system memory when we get sick. Like when we get a vaccine, the idea is that we're going to have a abundance of IgM so that if that virus or bacteria enters in our body can immediately deal with it, right? So we want IgM. We don't want IgE.
Okay.
There is the ability for our antibodies to class switch. This is another thing. We know it's happening. We don't know why. We don't know how, actually. What happens is one day this IgE is running through the body, wreaking havoc for somebody, causing, sinus issues. And then it says, I don't want to be an IgE anymore. I want to be an IgM and I want to help the body. And it'll change, right? Just change its personality. So we are looking at plants specifically. There's a lot of plants that, like echinacea, like turmeric, that we kind of think are actually making this happen. They're going in and saying, don't be that anymore. Be this instead. It's super exciting, right? This is where the world of research is so fascinating for me.
And here we are. We thought we had it all figured out, right? We're always making.
We'll never have it figured out, ever.
So actually, since you mentioned the Theracurmin, we will finish on that product to round it out to about 3 today: Quercetin, anti-V, and Theracurmin. So, but real quick on anti-V, if you come in YouTube, you can kind of see that right there. Look for this product. It's got the
and tell Stan I said hi.
Absolutely, I will. Yeah. Again, Stan the Demo Man, folks. Deep discounts. Okay, ask him about anti-V. Doesn't that come in capsules as well?
It does. Soft gels and the tincture. Yep.
About the same effect. Doesn't it's just more?
Yeah, I love them both. I'm a tincture gal, so I'm always going to do the tincture. I think it's just easier. But yep. So yep, same deal.
More. That's the thing. Some people don't like
the taste of herbs. Yeah, well, and if you're a vegan, you're going to want to go with the liquid because the beeswax is in the soft gel. So yeah.
Interesting. Again, anti-V formula, folks, with clinically proven echinamide. Hope I pronounced that correct.
You did. That's our echinacea. Yeah.
Perfect. Very specific form of it that actually produces the clinical benefits. So you don't want to miss that one. I've used this myself. I've run out of number of bottles I've gone through on the anti-V. It's highly effective, but you do need to, as Dr. Cass Ingram, the late great, used to say, you got to pound that herbal hammer.
Absolutely.
To get the benefits, right, Carrie?
Yeah, if you're coming down with something, if you're feeling like it's, I mean, like you go through that bottle in a day. That's, like the idea is to pound it with that hammer. Get it moving on, get it out.
Absolutely. So we'll finish off your last 7 minutes or so on Theracurmin. Sorry, about 5 minutes, but I want to hear about Theracurmin. Maybe we can continue it in part 2, but introduce us to Theracurmin.
So Theracurmin is a turmeric supplement that has been the compound in turmeric that we know has the most research as far as the health and healing benefits of it is curcumin. So, and the amount that research shows us is about 30 milligrams. So what we know Theracurmin is it's the #1 absorbed form of turmeric, because turmeric's really, really hard to absorb, even more so than quercetin. And so we know that this is the #1 clinically proven absorbed form, but also it has that 30 milligrams of curcumin in there that we want to see so that we're getting the benefits. And there was actually a study on Theracurmin specifically and allergies. It came out in the Journal of Respiratory and Critical Care Medicine. And it said something along the lines of like marked inhibition of allergic response, like essentially like it stopped it. And what we know is that, most people think about turmeric, curcumin for, healthy inflammatory response, but we forget about all of the other things that it does, including really supporting the immune system. And one of the things it does is reduce that Th2 inflammatory response, which is what we were talking about, is the immune response that's really associated with somebody who's having an allergic reaction of type. It also helps with airway mucus production, which is really lovely because sometimes there's things that are stuck in there that we need to get out, and this is where plants can balance things, right? It can either help create more mucus if it's needed, or it can dry it up if there's too much going on. So it's kind of your catch-all for things.
So that would make sense when an herb's referred to as immunomodulatory, right? Modulates
Exactly.
things.
Exactly. Yeah. It's going to balance things out in the body. It's going to help the body adapt to whatever it is. And this is where, like, we can't think about plants like we think about pharmaceuticals, where it's like, this is what the pharmaceutical does, right? Because
Right.
plants do everything.
Right. They're
So,
versatile.
yeah, exactly.
Amazing. So this is part 1 with Carrie G. Pattison in our seasonal
Yeah.
superheroes episode. So this is episode 18. Make sure you stick around. In the next episode, we're going to be continuing this discussion with Carrie. And I want to ask you on the last note, I've had people ask me, Carrie, what if I already take turmeric root and just put it in my smoothies or juice it at home?
Oh,
What do you think about
no, you're
that?
not going to be getting the benefits because
Exactly.
you're not absorbing it. And we should actually start with that. The next episode, I'll talk about what's happening with the absorption.
I'll start with that then to start that next episode. That's an
Ooh,
important
come
topic
on
because
back,
you're not
people.
getting those clinical amounts, right?
No,
So
exactly. Yeah.
amazing. And what's a good take home then for this episode? We touched on the quercetin LipoMicel matrix, the anti-V formula, and we introed the Theracurmin, which we'll pick up at the next episode. Give us a little recap, 30 seconds or so, Carrie.
Allergies are really unique in that it is just an exaggerated immune response. And so what a lot of the things we're talking about today and we're going to talk about in the next episodes are things that you would do to support your immune system during cold and flu season. So, it's a lot of the same basics tweaked in a way for unfortunate symptoms from allergies.
Perfect. Naturalfactors.com, folks. Naturalfactors.com. Again, come talk to Stan, the demo man, and thank you for your time, Carrie G. Pattison. Folks,
Yeah.
don't forget, she's coming up again in the next episode, so I look forward to that discussion, Carrie. Thank you.